Okay, welcome to the Regen Network Community Dev Update. Today is Wednesday, May 27th, and we'll be going over our blockchain roadmap, some Cosmos ecosystem updates, and some registry application room to have some conversations as needed with the community out there. Thanks for tuning in. And apologies if my internet is a little bit unstable. I'm going to go ahead and share screen. I will likely pop off video at that point, just to preserve bandwidth here. Oh yeah, stop video, there we go. All right. So we just completed the Wallaby sprint. I'm not going to go through all the details of what's happened, all the bullet points there, but Wallaby sprint was successfully completed. So we're driving quick towards registry app where people can go and use Stripe to purchase ecosystem service credits such as carbon credits just right off of our website. So it's very exciting. And we're rolling into the Tasmanian Devil Sprint, continuing to work on some of the payment backend stuff and the auto retire option for credit. So you just purchase and it retires, and you sort of get that evidence of that. So now I'm going to roll into Cosmos community updates, which will be a new part of this call. I've been taking the lead on a couple of community processes within the Cosmos ecosystem. So just kind of to report back to the community on that. The Cosmos Hub proposal number 25 passed, which is very exciting. Essentially, that's to do research and development work on sort of a fully functioning COSM-WASM in which a proof of stake chain has governance capability over smart contracts that are issued, and smart contracts are upgradable. This is pretty revolutionary. It's right down the line with what Regen is planning to launch. So it's super cool that this open source development is happening based on some tools that we built, and getting adopted and funded by the Cosmos Hub, which is big top 10, top 20 blockchain out there. So yeah, it's just exciting. It's going to be good for Regen Network. It's going to be good for the community. I couldn't be more excited. So that's just cool news that passed yesterday. And then there's the next upgrade for the Cosmos Hub. We're coordinating closely with a number of different groups because that upgrade, which of course needs to be passed by governance, but will be basically the version 0.39 of the SDK, which Aaron and our CTO and the engineering team, Corey, our product manager, are working very hard on. So there's a lot of coordination taking place to sort of sync up with, again, this software being used by the big public blockchain known as the Cosmos Hub. We're doing a bunch of that backend work. So sort of syncing up and making sure communication's happening there. And then the last little piece here is we've sort of kicked off a process to create decentralized ownership model around the code base of the product known as the Cosmos SDK. There's a bunch of other things. So that's pretty exciting, I think, as far as just, decentralizing ownership of this product. It's pretty cool. And I think it resonates with some of the open team processes in the future and some of the open climate processes. So I'll be looking forward to sort of feeding back information and, people who have experience, Martine, I'm actually thinking of you and your interface with Hyperledger and Linux Foundation. I think there's a lot we could learn and maybe just adopt. So there's a process there which is undergoing, which I'm helping with. I'm going to pass it over to Corey to do a quick update of our blockchain roadmap.
Hey, Yeah, so on the Cosmos SDK side, we merged in the big ADR update for reflecting usage of any. So at least for this past round of large kind of like design pieces, we're now kind of unblocked and back to moving forward on a bunch of migrations. The current outstanding like design document or architecture decision record number 23 is currently in review, is on protobuf naming and versioning. So that's more just trying to clean up the language of the types around all of these protobuf messages that are now going to be in use, to make that like nice and succinct and have a good developer UX. As was previously announced in the last call, gov, auth, bank, state encoding has all been migrated, and those are now getting updated to reflect the usage of any, as previously mentioned. And we just hired a new engineer to join our internal Regen dev team, specifically with a focus on the Cosmos SDK, starting the beginning of July. And we still have one more position available to join our engineering team with a focus on Cosmos work. You can see that job posting at regen-network.workable.com. On the Regen Ledger side, we just had our ecosystem service credit RFC review last week. Thanks to Martine from the community, and we also had Dorn from OpenTeam for a bit join that. That was a really nice call, being able to kind of communicate together with some external folks as well as our internal user group, namely the registry application, to understand exactly how their responses to this initial credit module that we're going to be building on the ledger. And so, yeah, we got basically preliminary sort of alignment on that. So we're pretty much at a point now where we can start implementation on it, which is exciting. And lastly, on the OpenTeam side, we have 2 paired work sessions in progress. The main one, which is kind of work has already started on, is making data cryptographically signable from this application called RSci, which is one of the OpenTeam partners. They have a bunch of applications that they develop for the logging of different kinds of like survey data, and specifically with a focus on agricultural data management. And yeah, we're right now at the point in this work session with them where we're evaluating a kind of main use case to begin our integration work, to use as a focus point for our integration work. And yeah, over the next 4 weeks, that's the kind of like time boxing cycle for these paired work sessions. We will be delivering a kind of more detailed spec for what that integration will look like. A little advanced preview is it's going to most likely involve a lot of CosmWasm and integrating through the CosmWasm JS libraries. And if you want to see more details on that, as well as some of the other work packages or paired work sessions that we're involved in, you can view those on GitLab via the link below.
Thanks, Corey. Quick science team update. There were a few other things potentially to update, but the biggest one is just, hey, we're hiring data scientist and geospatial analysis information systems expert. This will be a part-time contract, short-term. By short-term, I think actually we're hoping for a 4-month contract and hoping to then be able to renew it. But you know, we're specifically working on pretty exciting grant that we're helping lead for the Ecosystem Service Marketplace Consortium. So there's sort of a chunk of work there to do, and we're hiring against that work. But ideally, this can also mature into a longer term relationship. So if you know folks, or you are one of those, ping office@regen.network for details. We're not, we haven't put that up on Workable or any other sites. We're just sort of hiring from within the ecosystem. Si hablan español, mejor. So if you're a native or just capable Spanish speaker, that's great. Of course, Dr. Giselle Bowman is Argentine, and so it's nice she's also fluent in English, of course, but it's nice to have a colleague that she can back and forth ideas with in Spanish. So please forward that along to folks that you know, or apply yourself. We're excited to be expanding the science team. And there was, when we already did the registry. So I'm going to stop sharing and see if I can have enough bandwidth to bring myself back on video. Yeah, so that's our sort of last 2 weeks in review. And I'd love to just open up the field for any conversation or questions or comments from anybody.
I just had a question on how the RFC kind of finished off, and whether you guys want to do a follow-up to that on the credit design, since I had to leave early.
Yeah, I mean, from our side, the main thing that we kind of, well, there was one decision that we sort of made at the close of that call, which was we're going to change just like a naming thing, is the credit vintage sort of entity. We're just going to be calling credit batch instead, to make that a little bit more clear and allow for a bit more flexible kind of like use cases. And the other thing that I think we're still trying to have a few deliberations on is whether or not we put any kind of cancellation functionality into this initial spec. But other than that, I think that we felt pretty aligned on at least this first round, satisfying like enough use cases to get some good usability going. If there are specific things outside of the cancellation stuff that you'd like us to kind of keep in mind or keep tracking, like, yeah, let's figure out how to do that. I wonder if possible. Yeah. How do you?
That makes total sense. I think that's it's great as it is to get it on the first instance, and just like, you can't get everything kind of right and think about
Totally.
all different scenarios at the beginning. So it's just like looking at a wide array of possibilities, and then making sure that the framework is adapted over time.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that would be great though, Martine, from your side, is if there are specific use cases of either entities or folks within the communities that you're connected to that you think we should be holding, like, I'd love to have a more clear understanding of exactly what those are. And if it were to at some point even make sense to like really structure kind of like a pilot set of work like around that, like I think we're looking forward to having hard use cases to work towards as we build out more functionality. So definitely if there's any maybe this somehow fits into the collaborathon work. Maybe there's a set of stakeholders or like a certification body that you see like wanting to make use of the capabilities that we were discussing for this module. And I think that can like drive a lot of the future iterations, or even just the way that we implement the current iteration that we have here, because there is a lot of flexibility with how the metadata gets stored in this current in this current design. And it would be great to see like working with other partners how they would want to make use of those metadata fields.
Yeah, I actually think that that's why I'm excited about getting that diagram with Open Team, Regen, and Open Climate, because we might come up with a prompt that is, like you described it, a hard use case of how do we look at, let's say an entire country from their perspective of just ecosystem state tracking and national plan, and the UNFCCC like credits, and also the voluntary credits and things like that. And how do we look at it single shot? And then how does forest and soil carbon all kind of would integrate? And so maybe that's a good platform that we could use to then stress test more the RFC doc down the line.
Sounds good.
That sounds great. And just while we're on that topic, I sent an email out. I noticed, everybody but Dorn, who's going to be on the call, is here on the call. So just to verbally say, I canceled. I think Martina had a great point. So I canceled our call for tomorrow, focused on just keeping momentum with this intersection with this conversation, working on this, so that we could all do, I specifically would like to do a little bit more work on diagramming. So I'm going to do that during during that time that's freed up, and then we'll have a call next week to sort of revisit this and see if by looking at some diagramming, we can't actually sort of solidify a little bit more a clear sort of prompt and a bit of a collaborative roadmap around this specific topic, which is sort of enormously, I'm super, super excited about it. I actually, it might be kind of fun while we have a little bit of time to just take you on a really quick screen share tour of what I've been working on. I'm not sure if that's useful or not.
Yeah, one thing to say is like any diagrams that you guys already have or are working on, I'll spend some time this weekend to try to do some diagrams of diagrams. So if,
I'll get you that for sure. I'm just noticing the last time I was doing serious diagramming was back in the day, and there's some significant
improvement to the tools.
Improvement and just like differences in architecturally what's happened and whatnot. So I'll just take you on a quick tour. So Martine, here's my meta diagram or like set of meta diagrams here, and the specific ones that I'm working on updating are here.
Okay. Beautiful.
And so you can sort of see this is outdated. This is back when we were actually running a consortium. We were planning on doing consortium instead of a sort of pure proof of stake. And so you can sort of see there's slightly different architecture. So and this is sort of how things work. And then there's also some, like oracleization stuff. And actually, I'm kind of excited, Corey, for you to be able to see this too. This is, somewhat outdated, but this is sort of the idea of being able to bond, actually stake data providers in an Oracle network, which isn't what we've been focused on actually at the moment. But so anyway, I'm just working right now on updating these maps up here. I just sort of copied and pasted them, and I'm updating everything that I can to sort of accurately represent what's going on. So.
It makes sense. You put everything that you already have, and then think about, and it also is useful to see like, here's how things work. Here's the vision for like the framework of how things should work, and any other ideas around like, for example, of like how you see the synergy with all the other kind of pieces within Open Climate, and then Open Climate does their exercise. Open Team. And then we kind of try to pull everything together, and we could probably make, I think this is going to end up in a really cool kind of deck, like an architectural deck for systems integration.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm sort of focused on just like updating some of the basic region stuff. But my next, what I really like to be working, so I'll try to do that swiftly and not kind of get sunk in it. And then what I really want to do is just diagram out, like a specific open team use case and the tech stack we're using, and the flow of data and information into the credit module, for instance. I want to kind of like get that encapsulated so that can then get upgraded and then be used as a piece of, like you're saying, this larger sort of systems integration and kind of deck. So I'm gonna see if I can't make that happen. And if anybody would like to sort of just co-work on that with me, just ping me, and I'm going to be trying to set aside time to work on that the next couple of days. So if people are interested, awesome. If not, I'm just going to take a crack at it, get it to Martine, and we'll all be able to look at it next Thursday.
Cool. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Great. Other questions or comments out there? Paul and Will, does that sound like a pretty good flow to you guys?
Yeah, that sounds awesome to me. I'm excited to get going on some of this work. And just open to how I can contribute to that process. I don't know.
Cool. Yeah, thanks. And I just checking in. Greg Ostic had noted that you were going to be digging into another project over the next maybe like starting in June or something, just to check in on your availability. Like what's your busyness look like?
Yeah, I mean, I'll still be available. It's just I'm just spinning up on another project, so I'm gonna have like a little less time and focus less on, we're about to launch this new version of the application and the platform, and so I'm gonna be focused a little bit less on that, but I'll still be available to work on this stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Great.
I was just going to say real quick, I'm pretty excited about this diagramming phase that we're going to be embarking on. Seeing what Martine had put out in the last call was really cool and helps kind of solidify some of these ideas and kind of the path forward. So yeah, I'm excited to try and put some of my own thinking into that and see how everything comes together.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds fantastic. Cool. Any other comments or questions from folks about either where we're at or some of these sort of co-creative opportunities that we're moving forward with? Cool. Well, Adriana, I see you came off mute. Welcome.
Hi everyone. Sorry for being late. It's always like this on a Wednesday when you have one meeting after another. You never know.
Yeah, totally.
Looking forward to take a look on the video and take a look on the slides to see what you have discussed here before I joined.
Yeah, definitely. And in fact, I can do a quick just while you're here. There's a couple pertinent things I was sharing about just some Cosmos community updates. Regen Network. We just excited that the proposal 25 passed, and then I was sharing some of the work that we're doing to coordinate around Stargate, which is sort of version 0.39 release. And then I've also sort of leaned in and I'm working on the like how to govern and maintain the SDK as on the social side, not the technical side. Like what is the process, and what are the norms and standards around commits and just the Cosmos SDK as a product. I'm working with Billy and others and the Regen team on that a little bit. So I was just updating everybody. That seems pertinent to you. Cool. And Paul, you asked when is the next testnet? Yeah, I mean, we were hoping that it would be mid-June. It looks like it's going to be in July. Hopefully the first week or two of July. There's some dependencies. Regen Ledger will be built on version 0.39 of the Cosmos SDK, which we're working on, is also going to be the release of Cosmos blockchain that the Cosmos Hub will be running on. We'll have our own custom modules running as well, like the credit module, which we're discussing. There's been a Corey and Aaron have been running a really, I think, great community process that's slowed the engineering work down, but I think rightfully around, because there's a lot of this version of the software is going to have lots of really radical breaking changes because of some encoding changes. Specifically, and we've spoken about this in other calls, the shift from Amino to Protobuf, and where it's basically going to break everything in the ecosystem, all the block explorers, all the exchanges, everybody's going to have to do a big update. So there's been a very thorough process around making sure that, it's done in a way that is, thoughtful and user-centric. So that went a little bit slower, and I think now is kicking into gear. So I don't know, Corey, if you want to speak. This is really like I'm just talking about stuff that's sort of a little bit more in your wheelhouse, but hopefully I'm representing all of that accurately.
Yeah, no, that seems about right. I mean, unfortunately, there's just a lot of moving pieces with the Cosmos SDK work that we're doing, and it all is quite slow. I do think that to say, well, here's what I'll say, is that tomorrow is when we have our next Cosmos SDK grooming meeting, like our bi-weekly iteration planning, and we're meant to do a bit of a timeline check-in on that call. So hopefully more clarity after that. But unfortunately, all of the testnet stuff and also the Regen Ledger mainnet is all kind of like a moving target dependent on this this big protobuf migration work that we're doing for the SDK.
Yeah. So looks like it's moving out into July, and it's a little bit of a moving target, but we'll know, we're going to get more and more and more visibility and be able to make more and more solid statements about that as we get a little bit further down the road. So
how about the 2 hirings you were looking for?
oh yeah, well, so Corey updated. So we've hired one person. They gave their notice at their previous employment, so they'll be coming on in a couple of weeks. And then we still have one position open, and would welcome more applicants. We're going through an interview process with a few folks right now, and we also have another opening for a data scientist and geospatial analyst position on the science side.
Mm-hmm. There are also like a lot of posting in the jobs channel under Cosmos Community Discord. Maybe if you have time, you can take a look on that on over there.
Yeah, that's great. You know, I have to admit, I'm not as connected into the Discord world. I'm still sort of like old school, stuck in the Telegram world, and having a little trouble sort of like managing all of it. So
Yeah.
that's a good, I'll make a note to myself to go, and maybe Corey also, I don't know if you've already been sort of tuned in to that jobs posting Discord channel, but that might be reposted.
Daniela is administrating it like very nicely, and she created the channel. And every time she sees postings from people who want to get a job or people who are looking for people to hire, she posts all the announcements there. So if you scroll in the jobs channel, you'll see like a lot of people posting their like their expertise, what they're looking for, what their experience is. So there are some information, like useful information or people you can find there for sure.
Cool.
Great.
Be good to talk with Daniela about that a little bit. That makes me, she does awesome work. So
Yeah.
cool. Well, here we're headed, we're hit the 1:30 mark. So I want to respect everybody's time. I really appreciate, as always, folks showing up for the call. I hope it's useful to just kind of get this pulse of where we're at. And I'll see those of you who are on the, well, we'll see. I'll let everybody know if there's going to be a validator call next week. We may just sort of go on summer vacation since there's no testnet, or we may choose, if there's emergent energy in the community to use that to talk about things, we may use it. I'll let everybody know in the DVD channel about that. And if not, I'll see everybody back here in 2 weeks. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Thanks, Gregory.
Bye.
Thanks, Corey.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.